Authorities have confirmed that a local
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Film co-final sequences or resolution Rambo co-growth or transformation ko showcase Karenj. Audience dikagi ki kai's young Rambo apni skills, morals or resilience ko integrate karka ek fully capable warrior ban jada high, ready to face future challenges or legacy ko inherit care. The marketing strategy for the prequel emphasizes a dual appeal, nostalgia for longtime Rambo fans and intrigue for a new audience unfamiliar with the franchise's history. Campaigns highlight the origin story, showing a younger, formative Rambo, while retaining visual and thematic connections to the iconic character fans have known for decades. Trailers, posters, and interactive media are designed to capture the intensity of action, the emotional depth of character, and the immersive environments of jungle warfare. By balancing legacy and innovation, the marketing aims to generate excitement across multiple demographics while setting expectations for a film that honors tradition yet feels fresh and modern. Merchandising opportunities tied to the prequel are carefully crafted to appeal to collectors, fans, and new viewers alike. Replicas of Rambo's jungle gear, tactical equipment, and survival tools are designed with both accuracy and aesthetic appeal. Limited edition items, concept art books, and interactive VR experiences allow audiences to engage with the story world beyond the cinema, enhancing emotional investment and creating a multi-platform franchise ecosystem. The merchandising strategy not only generates revenue but also reinforces the prequel's identity as a cornerstone of the Rambo mythos. The soundtrack and score for the prequel are integral to storytelling, blending orchestral motifs with percussive, ambient, and natural sounds. Each thematic element corresponds to a stage in Rambo's development: tension, moral dilemma, physical challenge, or personal growth. Sound bridges between quiet, introspective moments and explosive action sequences, heightening the narrative's emotional impact. Music cues are also used symbolically, signaling transformations, triumphs, or setbacks, creating a continuous auditory thread that guides the audience through the story. Production design incorporates both realism and stylized cinematic elements to create a visually immersive world. Jungle environments, mountainous terrain, rivers, and war-torn villages are carefully constructed to reflect both physical obstacles and the psychological journey of the protagonist. Every frame is treated as a visual storytelling opportunity, with color palettes, textures, and natural lighting manipulated to convey mood, danger, and thematic symbolism. The design ensures that the prequel's world feels alive, dynamic, and emotionally resonant. The prequel emphasizes the relationship between human will and environmental challenge. Scenes of river crossings, dense jungle navigation, and cliffside confrontations are not only visually spectacular but also narrative tools that show Rambo's growth in resilience, adaptability, and tactical thinking. Nature itself becomes a character, reflecting the harsh realities of war and the internal trials shaping the hero. These sequences balance realism, artistic composition, and symbolic weight to deepen the storytelling experience. Cinematography in the prequel is meticulously crafted to highlight both scale and intimacy. Sweeping aerial shots convey the vastness of terrain, the dangers of remote jungles, and the enormity of Rambo's challenges, while close-ups capture subtle emotions, internal conflicts, and moments of ethical reflection. Camera angles, lens choices, and movement all contribute to a visual narrative that mirrors the protagonist's psychological state, ensuring that every frame communicates both action and emotional depth. The prequel's exploration of moral complexity is a central narrative driver. Rambo faces situations where survival instincts conflict with ethical considerations, creating tension and character development. These dilemmas are depicted not as abstract concepts but as visceral, high-stakes challenges within the jungle, forcing the protagonist to balance instinct, intellect, and conscience. The narrative demonstrates that heroism is defined as much by moral courage as by physical ability. Mentorship and interpersonal dynamics are carefully developed to highlight formative influence on Rambo. Encounters with experienced soldiers, tactical instructors, and local guides illustrate how guidance, observation, and learning shape skill and character. These relationships are depicted with depth, showcasing moments of camaraderie, conflict, and moral questioning. By emphasizing the role of human connection, the prequel underscores that the legend of Rambo is not formed in isolation but through interaction, challenge, and influence. The prequel also examines the psychological toll of early combat. Scenes depict moments of fear, doubt, and reflection amid chaos, emphasizing how trauma, stress, and moral questioning shape decision-making and resilience. By showing the internal consequences of external conflict, the film ensures that Rambo is portrayed as a multidimensional character whose legendary capabilities are balanced by human vulnerability, creating an emotionally compelling portrait of growth under pressure. Training sequences are elevated into cinematic set pieces, combining environmental hazards, physical challenges, and tactical instruction. These sequences are choreographed to show skill acquisition, mental discipline, and creative problem-solving, reflecting the formative process that develops both body and mind. Dynamic camera work and expressive lighting enhance the intensity of these sequences, transforming preparation into a narrative of heroism, persistence, and strategic mastery. Conflict sequences blend realism and dramatic artistry. Ambushes, skirmishes, and survival challenges are staged to highlight both physical and mental resourcefulness. Action is never gratuitous, it serves as a mechanism to illustrate Rambo's growth, tactical ingenuity, and ethical decision-making. Visual and sound design work together to heighten tension, immersing viewers in the immediacy of danger while reinforcing narrative stakes. The prequel places significant emphasis on isolation and endurance. Moments where Rambo navigates alone through hostile terrain, confronting both natural and human threats, illustrate the development of mental resilience. These sequences are symbolic as well as literal, reflecting internal struggle and the shaping of character under extreme adversity. The film positions endurance as a defining trait of the hero, emphasizing that survival is as much a mental as a physical endeavor. The narrative uses symbolic imagery to underscore themes of growth and transformation. Storms, rivers, and treacherous cliffs are juxtaposed with moments of sunlight, calm waters, and open skies, visually representing trials overcome and wisdom gained. These environmental metaphors enrich storytelling, conveying psychological development, moral evolution, and the emergence of legendary traits in a visually compelling way. Character study is central to the prequel's emotional resonance. By portraying the young Rambo as thoughtful, observant, and reflective, the film encourages empathy and engagement. Audiences witness his fears, hesitations, and moral calculations, creating a layered portrayal that deepens the connection to the character. This humanization ensures that the action sequences are meaningful within a broader narrative context. The prequel explores the tension between personal ambition and duty to others. Rambo's decisions are often influenced by his desire to protect friends, follow orders, or uphold moral codes, illustrating the balance between self-interest and responsibility. This thematic focus reinforces the narrative's ethical dimension, showing that heroism is intertwined with choice, accountability, and relational awareness. Visual storytelling extends to symbolic uses of color and texture. The jungle's greens and browns convey growth, danger, and camouflage, while flashes of red and orange during combat communicate peril and urgency. Light filtering through foliage is used to suggest hope, clarity, or insight, creating a layered visual language that supports both action and character development. The prequel also addresses the strategic aspect of warfare. Rambo's growing understanding of terrain, ambush tactics, and psychological manipulation of opponents illustrates the intellectual component of heroism. By emphasizing strategy over sheer force, the narrative underscores that true mastery combines mental acuity with physical capability. Narrative pacing alternates between high-intensity sequences and reflective moments to maintain engagement and allow emotional digestion. Explosive action is counterbalanced by introspective scenes where Rambo contemplates decisions, losses, and ethical questions. This rhythm ensures that the story remains dynamic, emotionally resonant, and thematically rich throughout its runtime. Cultural and historical grounding informs character behavior and plot development. The Vietnam-era setting shapes Rambo's experiences, the challenges he faces, and the moral framework within which he operates. By embedding the narrative in historical reality, the film achieves authenticity, enhancing audience immersion and providing a sense of lived experience beyond cinematic spectacle. The prequel's conclusion ties together psychological, moral, and physical development, showing the emergence of a confident, skilled, and principled warrior. The final sequences emphasize the lessons learned, the relationships formed, and the inner resilience developed, bridging the origin story to the legendary figure audiences know. This resolution honors the franchise legacy while setting the stage for potential sequels, expanded universe content, or reinterpretations of Rambo's continuing journey. Young John Rambo ka prequel main journey ek harsh or unforgiving environment se shuru hoda hai, jahan uski initial combat encounters or training exercises uski physical or mental limits ko challenge kardi hain. Har mission or confrontation audience ko dikata hai ki kai's raw courage or instinct gradually ek disciplined warrior ko form main evolve kardi hain. Forest ambushes, night patrols or guerrilla exercises ko cinematic way main dikaya jaega, jahan tension or suspense har frame main present haga, or audience Rambo ko inner conflict or growth ko soft connect kar peigi. Film ko narrative structure main Rambo ko mentors or trainers ka central role haga, jahan ang teachings or strict guidance young Rambo ko tactical thinking or moral judgment ko shape korenj. Sequences serve physical training nahi, baki psychological conditioning or resilience building ko liye designed hung. Audience dikagi ki kai's mentorship or discipline uski skill progression or ethical framework ka foundation bont hain. Early missions or skirmishes main Rambo ko mistakes or failures highlight kai jng, jo narrative ko emotional or realistic dimension deet hain. Har error or setback audience ko samjata hai ki hero ka journey instantly smooth nahi hoda. Narrative choice young Rambo ko transformation ko believable or engaging banati hai, or har victory ka weight or significance bad hata high. Prequel main Rambo ko personal losses or grief ko moments narrative ko emotional resonance deet hain. War ko doran allies or friends ki deaths ka impact uski psyche par long-term reflection ko soft dikaya jaega. Emotional layer action sequences or suspenseful confrontations ko soft seamlessly integrate ki jayeji, jis audience hero ko humanity or vulnerability ko deeply feel karegi. Rambo ko combat skills or weapon proficiency ko gradually depict kia jaega, jahan audience uski skill evolution or tactical intelligence ka step-by-step experience gain karegi. Guerrilla warfare techniques, hand-to-hand combat, or ambush strategies realistic or cinematic way main daike jng. Har fight sequence narrative or character arc ko advance karega, surf spectacle ko liya nahi. Young Rambo ko liya ek multidimensional antagonist introduce kia jaega, jo surf physical threat nahi baki psychological or ethical challenges be provide karega. Villain uski strategic thinking, moral choices or emotional resilience ko continuously test karega. Audience dikagi ki kai's hero har trap or moral dilemma ko through apni identity or warrior persona ko refine karda hai. Film ko visual design or cinematography rich or immersive hung. Dense forests, mountainous terrains or war-torn villages ka realistic depiction narrative or emotional engagement dono ko enhance karega. Light, shadow or color palette Rambo ko internal turmoil or external danger ko visually reinforce karegi, jis har seen emotionally or aesthetically impactful lage. Rambo ko interpersonal relationships or team dynamic story ka integral part hung. Fellow soldiers, mentors or local civilians ko soft bonds or conflicts narrative ko tension or depth provide karenj. Audience dikagi ki kai's loyalty, trust or moral choices hero ko identity or decision-making ko shape kardi hain. Young Rambo ko internal reflections or moral dilemmas film ka emotional backbone hung. Har decision or action ka impact uski psyche or ethical framework par dikaya jaega. Audience ko samaj iega ki kai's ek young soldier gradually apni fears, guilt or responsibilities ko balance karka ek disciplined warrior banta hai. Prequel ko pacing or narrative flow carefully structured hung, Jahan introspective or reflective sequences character development or emotional depth ko highlight Karenj, or high-intensity action sequences suspense or thrill provide Karenj. Yeah balance prequel ko emotionally or narratively engaging Banayaga. Rambo ko growth arc main ek critical turning point Haga, Jahan ek high stakes mission Uski courage, strategy or resilience ko test Karega. Audience Dikagi Ki Kai's past experiences, training or internal development Uski transformation main crucial role play Kardi Hain, or Kai's young Rambo gradually fully capable or confident Ban Jada High. Prequel ko subplots or side stories Rambo ko character or universe ko or depth provide Karenj. Mentors ko past conflicts, peers ko personal struggles or civilians ko interactions narrative ko multi-layered or realistic Banianj. Yeah subplots audience ko hero ko world or psyche ka comprehensive understanding dinga. Young Rambo ko early victories or small triumphs narrative main strategically placed hung, jis audience ko satisfaction or hope mile. Har victory Uski confidence or tactical skills ko development ko highlight Karegi, or transformation arc ko logically or emotionally justify Karegi. Film ko emotional arcs war or betrayal ko experiences se or enriched hung, Jahan Rambo ko loyalty or moral compass repeatedly challenge hung. Audience Dikagi Ki Kai's har death, betrayal or personal loss Uski ethical or psychological framework ko test Kardi Hain, or hero ki resilience or courage ka essence establish Kardi Hain. Rambo prequel ko action sequences modern cinematic techniques or realistic choreography ko soth daike janj. Hand-to-hand combat, ambushes, or high-stakes chase sequences audience ko thrill or engagement dono provide Karenj. Har sequence character development or narrative progression ko soth integrated Haga. Young Rambo ko personal reflections or inner monologue story ka integral part hung, Jahan audience ko Uski doubts, fears or aspirations ka insight Malaga. Yeah cinematic device narrative ko psychological or emotional dimension provide Karega, or hero ko journey ko or layered or compelling Banayaga. Film ko world building or environment design immersive or realistic hung. Military camps, battlefields, or local villages ko depiction audience ko fully engage Karega or narrative or character arcs ko soth seamlessly integrate Haga. Har location hero ko challenges or transformation ko visually or narratively reinforce Karega. Prequel ko moral complexity or ethically ambiguous situations Rambo ko growth or strategic thinking ko continuously test Karenj. Audience Dikagi Ki Kai's young soldier har choice or consequence ko soth apni identity or principles ko negotiate Karda High, or Kai's internal conflicts external battles ko sath mirror ot hain. Young Rambo ko training montages or preparation sequences narrative main central hung, Jahan physical, tactical or psychological conditioning Daikei Jai Yeji. Audience ko skill progression, resilience or tactical intelligence ka step-by-step understanding Malaga, Jo hero ko transformation Kuliya foundation Benega. Film ko final sequences or resolution Rambo ko transformation ko culminate Karenj, Jahan audience Dikagi Ki Kai's young soldier fully capable, morally grounded or strategic warrior Ban Jada High, ready to inherit the legacy Joe Paley film's main iconic band Chucky High. Prequel Ki Shuruat Young John Rambo ko early life or formative experiences Se Hogi, Jahan audience Dikagi Ki Kai's war or personal struggles any Uski survival instincts or resilience ko shape Kia. Childhood or early adolescence ko incidents subtly Daike Janj, Jahan Rambo ko internal conflicts, fear or determination ka groundwork establish Hoda High. Yeah sequence hero ko psychological depth or audience ko emotional connect ko liya crucial Haga. Young Rambo ko liya first military assignment ek shock or revelation ka moment Haga, Jahan Usi apni limits or instincts ka pata kalta high. Har battlefield decision, ambush or survival scenario Uski tactical brilliance or adaptive thinking ko refine Karda High. Audience ko visually or emotionally immerse Karn ko liya dense jungles, enemy territory or harsh environment cinematic way main depict Kai Janj. Rambo co-mentors or trainers prequel main narrative co-central pillars hung, Jahan unk guidance or strict discipline se hero co-skill set or moral framework ko develop kia jaega. Audience dkagi ki kai's mentorship serve physical training tak limited nahi, baki psychological conditioning or strategic thinking kuliya be vital high. Yeah sequences hero ko internal or external growth ko logically justify courage. Early missions main Rambo ko mistakes or failures ko narrative main prominently highlight kia jaega, jis audience samaj sake ki hero ka journey instantly flawless nahi hoda. Har tactical error or setback hero ko growth arc ka part haga, or narrative ko emotionally grounded or realistic baniega. Yeah moments future triumphs or skill mastery ka foundation establish courage. Rambo prequel ko emotional layer main uski grief or personal losses prominently daike jange. War or mission ko doran allies or friends key deaths ka impact uski psyche par deep or lasting effects delta high. Yeah emotional resonance action sequences or suspenseful confrontations ko soft seamlessly integrate kia jaega, jis audience hero ko humanity or vulnerability ko fully feel kuregi. Film co-action choreography or combat sequences traditional Rambo essence ko maintain courage, like in modern cinematic techniques or realistic fight sequences ko soft. Guerrilla warfare, tactical ambushes or high-intensity skirmishes hero ko skill progression or transformation ko narrative arc ko soft integrate hung. Audience har action moment main adrenaline or character engagement dano experience kuregi. Young Rambo ko liya ek multi-layered antagonist introduce kia jaega, jo hero ko tactical, ethical or emotional boundaries ko continuously test kurega. Yeah villain serve physical threat nahi, baki narrative ko psychological or moral tension ka kor haga. Audience dkagi ki kai's Rambo har challenge ko through apni resilience or identity ko refine karta high. Film ko cinematic visuals or environment design dense forests, mountainous terrains or war-torn villages ko realistically or immersively depict courage. Light, shadow or color grading hero ko internal turmoil or external stakes ko visually reinforce kuregi, jis audience emotionally or visually deeply engage ho. Rambo ko team dynamics or interpersonal relationships prequel ka integral part hung. Mentors, fellow soldiers or civilians ko soft interactions hero ko trust or loyalty ko test courage. Audience dkagi ki kai's collaboration or conflict hero ko moral or strategic growth main crucial role play kardi hain. Prequel ko internal monologues or reflections hero ko journey ka psychological dimension highlight courage. Par decision or action ka impact uski psyche or ethical code par daikaya jaega. Audience gradually samjaji ki kai's young soldier apni fears or responsibilities ko balance kardi huek disciplined warrior banata high. Narrative main Rambo ko critical turning points or high stakes missions hero ko transformation arc ko central elements hung. Har mission uski courage, strategic thinking or emotional resilience ko test kurega. Audience dkagi ki kai's past experiences or training uski tactical mastery or decision-making ko define kardi hain. Prequel ko side plots or supporting characters hero ko growth or narrative ko depth provide courage. Mentors ko backstory, fellow soldiers ko struggles or local civilians ko interaction story ko multi-layered or emotionally resonant banianj. Audience ko Rambo ko world or psyche ka complete understanding Malaji. Rambo ko early victories or small successes narrative main strategically place hung, jis hero ko confidence or skill development ka sense mile. Har triumph audience ko hope or satisfaction provide kurega, or transformation arc ko logically or emotionally justify kurega. Film ko emotional stakes war or betrayal ko experiences se enriched hung. Rambo ko loyalty or moral compass repeatedly challenge hung. Audience dkagi ki kai's personal loss or high-risk decisions hero ko ethical framework or psychological depth ko shape kardi hain. Prequel ko action sequences intense or cinematic hung, Jahan hand-to-hand combat, ambushes or chase sequences narrative progression or character arc ko soft integrated hung. Audience adrenaline or engagement dano simultaneously experience kuregi. Young Rambo ko reflections or doubt story ka emotional core hung. Audience Dikegi ki kais ek inexperienced soldier apni fears, trauma or moral dilemmas ku soth cope karta hai, or kais ye internal conflicts uski external battles ku reflection ot hain. Ya narrative device hero ku psychological depth ko enhance karega. Film ka world building or environment realism narrative or cinematic immersion dano ku liya essential haga. Military camps, battlefields or local settlements hero ku challenges or growth ko visual or narrative reinforcement dinga. Audience feel karegi ki wo hero ku journey ka integral part high. Prequel ku moral complexity or ethical dilemmas hero ku decisions or growth ko continuously test karenge. Audience Dikegi ki kai's young soldier heart consequence or choice ka way karta high, or kai's internal conflicts uski external battles or survival instincts se mirror ot hain. Training montages or preparation sequences hero ku skill progression or resilience ko step-by-step dikenge. Audience samjeji ki kai's physical, tactical or psychological conditioning young Rambo ko fully capable or strategically prepared banati high. Film ko final sequences or resolution hero ko transformation or identity arc ko culminate karenge. Audience Dikegi ki kai's young soldier apni skills, morals or resilience ko integrate karka ek iconic warrior ban jada high, jo future Rambo legacy kuliye ready high. The prequel anticipates a wide international audience, given the global recognition of the Rambo brand. Audiences from different cultural and geopolitical backgrounds are expected to resonate with themes of resilience, survival, and moral complexity. The story's exploration of universal human experiences, courage under pressure, loyalty to comrades, and the struggle between right and wrong, ensures accessibility across cultures, allowing the character of Rambo to maintain relevance decades after the original films. Franchise analysis indicates that Rambo's enduring appeal stems from a combination of physical heroism, psychological depth, and ethical exploration. The prequel builds on these foundations by highlighting formative experiences that explain his later decisions, moral code, and tactical brilliance. By exploring origin stories without diluting the character's legendary aura, the film strengthens brand continuity and sets the stage for potential new installments while honoring longtime fans. The cinematic legacy of Rambo is significant, influencing action cinema for decades. The prequel contributes to this legacy by combining modern filmmaking techniques with classic franchise elements. Advanced camera technology, practical effects, and digital compositing are employed alongside traditional stunt work and set design to create immersive, visceral action while maintaining the authenticity and grit associated with the original films. Symbolism plays a crucial role in the narrative, reflecting psychological, moral, and thematic depth. Elements such as turbulent rivers, towering cliffs, and stormy skies are not mere backdrops but extensions of Rambo's internal struggles. The interaction of natural elements with character action visually represents the interplay of adversity, personal growth, and heroism, elevating the narrative beyond conventional action storytelling into a more reflective, cinematic experience. Sylvester Stallone's involvement as producer, writer, and creative consultant ensures that the prequel remains faithful to the franchise's essence. His understanding of character, narrative, and audience expectation informs both script and production design. Stallone's experience in portraying complex action heroes allows the film to maintain a delicate balance between visceral action, emotional resonance, and philosophical depth, ensuring continuity with the iconic Rambo persona. The prequel examines the ethical framework that guides Rambo's development. Early encounters with moral dilemmas, decisions about life and death, and the consequences of action versus inaction are central to the narrative. By emphasizing the development of his moral compass, the film portrays heroism as a combination of instinct, reflection, and ethical choice, deepening audience engagement and narrative sophistication. Visual composition in the prequel highlights contrasts between chaos and clarity, danger and calm, and isolation and camaraderie. Wide shots of dense jungle or raging rivers establish scale and peril, while tight framing of Rambo's expressions captures subtle emotional nuance. This deliberate visual contrast reinforces the narrative's focus on both external action and internal growth, ensuring that every sequence contributes to storytelling beyond surface spectacle. The prequel explores interpersonal influence, showing how relationships shape Rambo's skills, decision-making, and ethical reasoning. Mentorship, friendship, rivalry, and loyalty are all depicted with narrative weight, demonstrating that even legendary heroes are influenced by the people around them. This focus humanizes Rambo, making his legendary traits understandable as products of experience, guidance, and reflection rather than innate ability alone. Combat sequences in the prequel are choreographed to emphasize intelligence and resourcefulness as much as physical skill. Ambushes, survival tactics, and environmental improvisation highlight Rambo's growing strategic mindset. The film ensures that action serves the story by reflecting character development, reinforcing that his legendary effectiveness stems from mental acuity, preparation, and adaptability. Training montages are depicted as both rigorous and visually striking. Sequences showing weapon handling, survival skills, and tactical simulations are interspersed with moments of reflection, emphasizing the mental as well as physical aspects of preparation. The cinematography, lighting, and sound design in these scenes create tension and anticipation, demonstrating that mastery requires both discipline and ingenuity. The prequel also examines the toll of prolonged stress and danger on a young warrior. Scenes depicting exhaustion, injury, and mental strain highlight the human cost of heroism. These moments are essential in conveying authenticity, showing that legendary figures are forged through adversity, and that resilience is as much about mental endurance as it is about physical capability. Ethical dilemmas are consistently interwoven into the plot, shaping Rambo's decisions and growth. Situations forcing him to weigh survival against moral responsibility emphasize the complexity of heroism. By confronting these dilemmas early, the prequel demonstrates how Rambo develops the principles and strategic judgment that define his character in later films, ensuring continuity in both action and philosophy. The narrative highlights the evolution of leadership qualities in Rambo. Early interactions with peers and subordinates demonstrate emerging instincts for decision-making, tactical direction, and moral guidance. These experiences establish the foundation for the later portrayal of Rambo as a decisive, principled, and tactically brilliant leader capable of influencing outcomes far beyond his physical prowess. Cinematography in the prequel frequently contrasts light and shadow to convey thematic nuance. Moments of revelation or moral clarity are bathed in soft sunlight, while suspense, danger, or internal conflict are emphasized through shadowed compositions. This visual approach reinforces the narrative's exploration of psychological complexity, moral ambiguity, and the interplay of external and internal struggle. The prequel emphasizes the importance of adaptability in survival and combat. Scenes of improvisation, navigating unexpected environmental hazards, and devising tactical solutions underscore that Rambo's skill is as much about creative thinking as raw strength. This thematic focus enhances the educational aspect of the narrative, illustrating that intelligence and observation are critical to heroism. Soundtrack motifs are carefully designed to reinforce narrative and emotional arcs. Recurring themes correspond to stages of Rambo's growth, reflecting training, ethical decision-making, and moments of triumph or loss. Percussive rhythms, ambient textures, and orchestral crescendos guide audience emotional responses, ensuring that the score becomes a narrative voice in itself rather than a mere accompaniment. The prequel addresses the psychological interplay of fear and courage. By depicting Rambo confronting high-stakes situations where physical and moral danger intersect, the narrative explores how courage is cultivated through experience, reflection, and survival. These sequences humanize the character, providing insight into how fear is managed and transformed into heroic action. Audience anticipation is heightened through strategic pacing, balancing suspenseful sequences with reflective moments. High-intensity action sequences are counterbalanced by scenes of introspection, moral dilemma, or interpersonal dynamics. This rhythm ensures that viewers remain engaged, emotionally invested, and cognitively stimulated, allowing for a richer cinematic experience. The prequel examines Rambo's developing relationship with nature, illustrating both confrontation and symbiosis. Navigating rivers, jungles, and mountains, he learns to respect, predict, and manipulate environmental conditions. These sequences serve a dual narrative purpose, as spectacular action set pieces and as symbolic reflections of adaptability, resilience, and the symbiotic relationship between hero and environment. Finally, the prequel solidifies Rambo's emergence as a multidimensional legend. By portraying his growth in skill, morality, and psychological resilience, the film bridges the formative experiences of his youth with the legendary heroics of the original films. This culmination respects the franchise's heritage while expanding its narrative depth, offering audiences both spectacle and introspective engagement in a unified cinematic journey. Prequel key narrative Shuruat young John Rambo co-formative military experiences se Hodi Hai, Jahan Har mission or combat scenario Uski instinct or survival skills ko shape Karta Hai. Audience ko har skirmish or ambush ku zuriai daikaya jaega ki kais ek ro recruit gradually ek tactical or disciplined warrior banta hai. Forested landscapes, river crossings or enemy ambushes ko cinematic or immersive visual style main depict kia jaega, takihar sequence emotionally or visually impactful lage. Rambo ko mentors or trainers narrative ko backbone hung, Jahan unki strict guidance or philosophical teachings young Rambo ko strategic thinking or moral compass ko define Karenj. Sequences surf physical training nahi, baki psychological conditioning or resilience development kuliya crucial hung. Audience dikagi ki kai's hero discipline, patience or foresight sikta hai, jo uski transformation ka foundation banta hai. Early missions or combat failures young Rambo co-learning curve ko emphasize Karenj. Har setback or tactical mistake narrative or character development dano kuliya significant haga. Audience samaj payegi ki hero ka journey smooth nahi hoda, or har error uski transformation or skill mastery kuliya necessary high. Failures emotional weight or realism narrative main ad kardi hain. Film co-emotional layer main Rambo co-personal losses or grief prominently depict Kai Jayanj. War or mission co-Doran allies key deaths or betrayals uski psyche par deep or lasting impact dalt hain. Narrative audience ko hero co-vulnerability or humanity co-soth emotionally connect Karega, or har high-stakes confrontation ko or meaningful banayega. Rambo co-combat skills or tactical intelligence ko gradually reveal kia jaega. Guerrilla warfare, hand-to-hand combat or survival strategies realistic or cinematic style main depict hung, jis audience hero co-skill progression or adaptive thinking ka step-by-step experience Karegi. Har fight sequence narrative or character arc dono ko logically support Karega. Young Rambo ko liya ek complex antagonist narrative tension ka kor haga. Villain hero ko tactical, psychological or moral limits ko test Karega. Audience dikagi ki kai's Rambo har challenge or trap ko through apni resilience or strategic brilliance ko develop karta hai, or kai's ye antagonist hero ko growth arc main pivotal role play karta hai. Film ko cinematic visuals or environments rich or immersive hung. Dense jungles, rugged mountains, war-torn villages or tactical encampments realistically depict Kai Jayanj. Light, shadow or atmospheric conditions hero ko internal conflicts or external dangers ko visually reinforce Karenj. Har frame narrative or emotional stakes ko enhance Karega. Rambo ko interpersonal relationships or team dynamics narrative ka integral part hung. Mentors, fellow soldiers or civilians ko soft trust or loyalty ka struggle hero ko decision making or moral growth ko test Karega. Audience dikagi ki kai's collaboration or conflict uski personality or ethical code ko shape kardi hain. Internal reflections or monologues prequel ka psychological dimension highlight Karenj. Audience samjaji ki kai's young soldier apni fears, doubts or trauma ko soft cope karta hai, or kai's hard decision or action uski warrior persona ko form kardi hain. Device hero ko depth or narrative engagement ko enhance Karega. Prequel ko high-stakes missions or critical turning points hero ko transformation arc ko define Karenj. Har operation, ambush or rescue sequence Rambo ko courage, strategy or emotional resilience ko test Karega. Audience dikagi ki kai's past experiences or mentorship uski tactical brilliance or moral grounding ko shape kardi hain. Supporting characters or subplots hero ko growth or story depth ko enrich courage. Mentors ko backstory, fellow soldiers ko personal struggles or civilians ko interactions narrative ko multi-layered or emotionally compelling banyange. Audience ko hero ko world or psyche ka complete understanding Malaji. Rambo ko early victories or incremental triumphs narrative main strategically placed hung. Har success uski confidence or skill mastery ka sense provide korega. Audience dkagi ki kai's cumulative experiences young Rambo ko seasoned warrior main convert kardi hain. War or betrayal ko experiences emotional stakes ko heighten courage. Rambo ko loyalty or moral compass repeatedly challenge hung. Audience dkagi ki kai's personal loss or high-risk decisions hero ko psychological depth or ethical framework ko shape kardi hain. Action sequences traditional Rambo style ko maintain courage, like in modern cinematic techniques or realistic choreography ko sof. Hand-to-hand combat, tactical ambushes or high-speed chase sequences audience ko visually or emotionally fully engage courage. Har sequence hero ko character development or narrative progression ka integral part haga. Young Rambo ko personal reflections or inner conflicts narrative ko emotional resonance provide courage. Audience dkagi ki kai's hero apni fears, guilt or responsibilities ko process karta high, or kai's internal struggles uski external challenges or victories se mirror ot hain. World building or environment design narrative or cinematic immersion dano ko liya essential hung. Military bases, battlefield landscapes or local settlements hero ko challenges or personal growth ko visual or narrative reinforcement dinga. Audience immersive or authentic experience feel koregi. Moral ambiguity or ethically challenging situations hero ko decisions or growth ko continuously test courage. Audience dkagi ki kai's young soldier har choice or consequence ka way karta high, or kai's internal conflicts uski external battles or survival instincts ku soth parallel chalti hain. Training montages or preparation sequences hero ku physical, tactical or psychological conditioning ko step-by-step depict courage. Audience samjeji ki kai's yi rigorous process young Rambo ko fully capable, adaptive or strategically prepared ban at a high. Final sequences or resolution young Rambo ko identity or transformation arc ko culminate courage. Audience dkagi ki kai's hero apni skills, morals or resilience ko integrate kar ku ek iconic warrior ban jada high, Joe franchise ko legacy or future stories ko liye ready high. Sylvester Stallone's creative influence permeates every aspect of the prequel. As writer, producer, and creative consultant, he ensures that the tone, character development, and action sequences remain true to the essence of Rambo while integrating modern cinematic sensibilities. Stallone's decades-long experience in portraying and shaping complex action heroes allows the film to balance visceral spectacle with psychological depth, ensuring that audiences receive both thrilling action and compelling character exploration. The film's editing style contributes significantly to narrative tension. Rapid cuts during combat sequences convey chaos and intensity, while slower, lingering shots during introspective moments allow viewers to absorb Rambo's emotional and ethical dilemmas. This contrast creates a dynamic rhythm, guiding the audience through adrenaline-fueled action and reflective contemplation, reinforcing both character development and thematic resonance. Set design in the prequel is meticulously crafted to reflect authenticity while enhancing visual storytelling. Jungle encampments, war-torn villages, and tactical training areas are constructed with attention to historical accuracy, environmental realism, and symbolic meaning. These immersive sets serve as both literal spaces for action and metaphoric reflections of Rambo's internal journey, blending physicality with thematic depth. Costume design reinforces narrative and character development. Early military uniforms, tactical gear, and survival clothing are detailed to convey authenticity and practicality while reflecting the psychological and ethical states of characters. Subtle variations in wear, damage, and customization provide visual cues about Rambo's growth, experiences, and increasing competence over time. Cultural context is woven into dialogue, setting, and plot structure. By situating Rambo's formative experiences in a specific historical period, the film explores broader geopolitical, social, and human consequences of conflict. This grounding ensures that the narrative is both historically resonant and emotionally credible, giving audiences a sense of lived experience beyond the spectacle of action. Action sequences are designed to emphasize strategy and mental acuity as much as physical prowess. Ambushes, jungle navigation, and resourceful improvisation highlight Rambo's growing tactical intelligence. The choreography reinforces the narrative that true heroism arises from a combination of skill, observation, and decision-making under pressure, rather than raw physicality alone. Cinematography employs light, shadow, and color to convey emotion and thematic nuance. Bright sunlight breaking through dense foliage may signify hope, insight, or clarity, while shadowed, storm-swept sequences emphasize danger, moral ambiguity, and internal struggle. This visual language allows audiences to interpret narrative subtext, deepening engagement with Rambo's journey. The film explores mentorship as a transformative force. Key figures provide guidance, challenge assumptions, and shape Rambo's emerging sense of ethics and strategy. By depicting the influence of mentors and peers, the narrative highlights the relational and communal factors that contribute to the making of a hero, reinforcing that Rambo's legend is grounded in lived experiences with others. Psychological realism is central to the prequel. Scenes depict Rambo confronting fear, doubt, and ethical dilemmas in high-pressure scenarios, illustrating how his resilience and strategic thinking develop through adversity. This approach humanizes the character, ensuring that the audience understands the internal growth behind his legendary skills and reputation. Sound design integrates natural, diegetic, and orchestral elements to enhance immersion. The rustling of leaves, the flow of rivers, distant gunfire, and subtle animal sounds interact with thematic music motifs to underscore tension, reflection, or heroism. This layered auditory experience ensures that every sequence resonates both emotionally and narratively, reinforcing character development. The prequel addresses physical endurance as a narrative theme. Sequences depicting river crossings, jungle navigation, and survival challenges emphasize stamina, adaptability, and resourcefulness. These physical trials mirror internal struggles, reinforcing the narrative that heroism involves both mental and physical resilience in equal measure. Ethical complexity is explored through the consequences of choice. Rambo faces situations where decisions impact allies, adversaries, and civilian populations, highlighting the moral weight of action in wartime. These dilemmas shape his understanding of justice, responsibility, and strategy, providing a philosophical depth that complements the physical intensity of the narrative. The visual language of the film incorporates symbolic motifs. Rivers may represent transformation and flow of time, dense jungles symbolize internal conflict or danger, and cliffs or mountains represent obstacles, endurance, or personal challenge. These recurring motifs create a cohesive symbolic structure that complements plot progression and character growth. Training sequences are treated as narrative milestones. Rambo's progression in skill, discipline, and tactical reasoning is depicted through increasingly complex exercises and survival scenarios. These sequences are visually dynamic, blending close-ups, wide shots, and environmental interaction to create a sense of growth, tension, and anticipation. Audience engagement is enhanced by interweaving character-driven drama with action set pieces. Moments of personal reflection, dialogue, or moral decision-making punctuate combat sequences, allowing viewers to connect emotionally with Rambo while maintaining excitement and suspense. This narrative structure balances spectacle with character depth, appealing to both action and story-driven audiences. Marketing for the prequel emphasizes both legacy and novelty. Promotional campaigns highlight the connection to the classic Rambo franchise while showcasing the origin story and modern cinematic treatment. Visual teasers, character posters, and immersive media experiences generate anticipation while communicating the film's dual appeal to longtime fans and new viewers. The prequel explores the relationship between heroism and personal ethics. Rambo's choices under duress, his navigation of moral dilemmas, and his reflection on consequences establish a framework for understanding heroism as a synthesis of courage, intellect, and conscience. These thematic explorations differentiate the narrative from standard action fare, offering philosophical and ethical substance alongside cinematic spectacle. Visual composition frequently emphasizes contrast between vulnerability and power. Scenes depict Rambo navigating dangerous terrain, facing superior forces, or confronting moral dilemmas, juxtaposed against moments of skill, triumph, and strategic mastery. This visual contrast reinforces narrative tension and highlights the development of character across diverse challenges. The soundtrack employs thematic leitmotifs to reinforce narrative continuity. Musical elements associated with personal growth, conflict, or triumph recur throughout the film, creating an auditory thread that connects disparate sequences. This consistent use of motifs enhances emotional resonance, signaling transitions in tone, character state, or narrative stakes. The prequel solidifies the narrative bridge between origin and legend. By illustrating formative challenges, ethical decision-making, tactical development, and relational influence, the film provides a cohesive foundation for understanding Rambo's evolution. This culmination respects the legacy of the franchise while offering fresh storytelling that deepens character understanding and expands the narrative universe. Young John Rambo Key Journey Prequel Main Usky First Exposure to Real Combat Se Shuru Hodi Hai, Jahan Har Encounter Usky Survival Instincts or Strategic Thinking Ko Test Karta Hai. Audience Ko Daikaya Jaega Ki Kai's Raw Fear or Adrenaline Ko Moments Ek Disciplined Soldier Ko Foundations Ko Establish Karti Hain. Dense jungles, hidden enemy camps or treacherous terrains Ko cinematic or visually immersive style main depict Kia Jaega, Jishar seen emotionally or physically tense Lage. Rambo co-mentors or commanders narrative ka core structure provide Karti Hain. Unkey strict guidance or tactical wisdom hero ko skills set or moral compass ko shape Karti Hai. Yeah sequences serve physical drills tak limited nahi rahenge, psychological conditioning, ethical decision-making or battlefield foresight ko be highlight Kia Jaega. Jis audience hero ko internal or external growth ko logically or emotionally samage pay. Early missions main Rambo ko mistakes or misjudgments hero ko transformation arc ka integral part hung. Har tactical failure or setback audience ko daikayaga ki hero ka path smooth nahi hoda. Yeah narrative choice real world soldiering or emotional resilience ka authentic portrayal provide karegi. Har mistake Rambo ko learning curve or strategic refinement ka foundation banayeji. Prequel ko emotional depth main Rambo ko personal losses or grief prominently depict Kai Jayanj. Allies or comrades key deaths, betrayals or sudden ambushes hero ko psyche par lasting impact Dalt Hain. Yeah narrative element audience ko hero ko vulnerability or humanity se emotionally connect Karta Hai, or har high-stakes action scene ko or meaningful or resonant banata high. Rambo ko combat skill progression narrative ko through gradually reveal Kia Jaega. Guerrilla tactics, hand-to-hand combat or survival strategies realistically or cinematically daike Jayanj. Audience ko har step par hero ko adaptive thinking, tactical intelligence or situational awareness ka insight malaga. Har action sequence narrative or character arc ko soth seamlessly integrate Haga. Prequel ko antagonist ek multidimensional villain Haga jo hero ko physical, psychological or moral limits ko test karega. Yeah character narrative tension, suspense or moral complexity ka source banega. Audience Dikagi ki Kai's hero har trap or ethical dilemma ko through apnea resilience or strategic brilliance ko enhance Karta Hai, or antagonist ko har move ka counterplan develop Karta Hai. Film ko visual elements or environmental design hero ko challenges or emotional arcs ko visually reinforce Karenj. Dense jungles, rugged mountains, war-torn villages or tactical bases realistic depiction ko soft cinematic lighting, shadow or color grading ko through immersive banai Jayanj. Audience environment or hero ko psyche ko interplay ko visually feel karegi. Rambo ko team dynamics or interpersonal relationship story ko integral component hung. Mentors, peers or local civilians ko soth trust, loyalty or conflict ka interplay hero ko strategic or moral growth ko define karega. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's collaboration or tension hero ko decision-making or character arc ka kor ban 8 hain. Prequel main Rambo ko internal monologues or reflections psychological dimension provide courage. Audience ko insight Malaga Ki Kai's hero apni doubts, fears or ethical dilemmas ko process karta high, or Kai's hard decision or action Uski warrior persona ko shape karta high. Yeah cinematic device narrative depth or engagement ko enhance Karega. High-stakes missions or critical operations hero ko transformation arc ko define courage. Har operation or rescue mission hero ko courage, strategic insight or emotional resilience ko test Karega. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's past experiences, training or moral guidance Uski tactical mastery or identity formation main pivotal role play Kardi Hain. Supporting characters or subplots hero ko narrative depth or universe ko enrich courage. Mentors ko backstory, peers ko struggles or civilian interactions narrative ko multi-layered or emotionally engaging Banianj. Audience hero ko world or psyche ko multiple layers ko comprehend Karegi. Early victories or incremental triumphs hero ko confidence or tactical evolution ko highlight courage. Har small success audience ko satisfaction or hope provide Karega or cumulative experiences young Rambo ko seasoned warrior ban 8 Daikanj. Transformation arc logically or emotionally justified Lajeji. War or betrayal ko experiences prequel ko emotional stakes ko heighten courage. Rambo ko loyalty or moral compass repeatedly challenge hung. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's personal loss or morally ambiguous situations hero ko ethical framework or psychological depth ko continuously refine Kardi Hain. Action sequences Rambo ko signature style ko essence ko maintain courage, like in modern cinematic techniques or realistic choreography ko soft. Hand-to-hand combat, tactical ambushes or high-stakes chase sequences narrative or character progression ko soft fully integrated hung. Audience adrenaline or engagement Dano simultaneously experience Karegi. Young Rambo ko internal conflicts or personal doubts story ko emotional core ko define courage. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's hero apni fears, guilt or moral dilemmas ko negotiate karta high, or Kai's internal reflection Uski external victories or losses se mirror hodi high. Yeah narrative device hero ko psychological depth or audience engagement ko enhance Karega. World building or environmental realism narrative or cinematic immersion Dano ko liya essential hung. Military bases, battlefields, local settlements or natural terrains hero ko challenges or personal growth ko visually or narratively reinforce courage. Audience fully immersive experience feel Karegi. Moral ambiguity or ethically complex situations hero ko decision-making or growth ko continuously test courage. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's young soldier har consequence or choice ka wei karta high, or Kai's internal conflicts external battles or survival instincts ko soth parallel chalti hain. Training montages or preparation sequences hero ko physical, tactical or psychological conditioning ko step-by-step depict courage. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's rigorous training young Rambo ko fully capable, adaptive or strategically prepared Banata high, or Kai's cumulative experiences Uski future persona ka base establish Kardi Hain. Final sequences or resolution young Rambo ko identity or transformation arc ko culminate courage. Audience Dikegi Ki Kai's hero apni skills, morals or resilience integrate Karka ek iconic warrior ban Jada high, Joe franchise ko legacy or future stories ko liye ready high. The prequel emphasizes Rambo's evolution from a reactive survivor to a strategic thinker. Early sequences show him improvising under duress, learning to anticipate enemy behavior, and mastering the environment to gain tactical advantages. This progression is visually emphasized through dynamic camera movement, varying focal lengths, and environmental framing, illustrating the transformation of his instinctual responses into deliberate, calculated action. Action set pieces are choreographed with psychological realism in mind. The choreography reflects Rambo's mental state, with deliberate movements, quick decision-making, and resourceful improvisation. The sequences demonstrate that heroism is not only about physical prowess but also about observation, planning, and creativity. Each encounter conveys escalating complexity, reinforcing the narrative that the character's legendary abilities are earned through experience and reflection. Production design meticulously recreates the Vietnam-era environment, blending authenticity with cinematic stylization. Jungle terrains, rivers, villages, and military encampments are rendered with attention to historical accuracy while incorporating visual motifs that reinforce thematic elements such as danger, isolation, and resilience. This attention to detail immerses the audience in the world, ensuring that each setting contributes to storytelling and character development. Lighting and color grading are strategically employed to mirror Rambo's emotional journey. Scenes depicting danger often feature high-contrast shadows, muted greens, and stormy skies, conveying tension and uncertainty. In contrast, moments of introspection or moral clarity utilize softer lighting, warmer tones, and open compositions to symbolize insight, growth, and internal balance, reinforcing narrative themes through visual storytelling. The prequel delves into mentorship and influence as essential elements in Rambo's formation. Senior soldiers, tactical instructors, and local guides play pivotal roles in shaping his moral compass, decision-making, and combat proficiency. These relationships are depicted with depth, exploring themes of loyalty, trust, ethical responsibility, and relational impact, emphasizing that even legendary heroes are shaped by the people around them. Sound design integrates environmental, diegetic, and thematic elements to heighten immersion and narrative clarity. The rustle of foliage, flowing water, distant gunfire, and natural wildlife interact with musical motifs that underscore emotional and narrative beats. Sound bridges action sequences and introspective moments, guiding the audience's emotional response and reinforcing Rambo's evolving psychological state. The prequel emphasizes resilience through both physical and psychological challenges. Rambo navigates treacherous rivers, dense jungles, and hostile forces, demonstrating adaptability, perseverance, and resourcefulness. These trials are framed to symbolize broader themes of human endurance, ethical resolve, and strategic thinking, reinforcing that heroism is cultivated through overcoming multifaceted adversity. The narrative explores ethical dilemmas as defining moments in Rambo's development. Decisions about life, loyalty, and survival challenge him to reconcile personal morality with external pressures. These situations illustrate that heroism is not only about action but also about the thoughtful negotiation of consequences, highlighting the philosophical dimension of the character's journey. Cinematography strategically alternates between wide, immersive shots and intimate close-ups to convey scale and emotion. Wide shots emphasize the enormity of environmental obstacles, while close-ups capture subtle emotional reactions and ethical tension. This dual approach allows audiences to simultaneously experience the external drama and internal evolution of the protagonist, enhancing narrative depth. Training sequences are crafted as narrative and visual milestones. They blend practical skill acquisition, survival exercises, and tactical simulations with cinematic composition, highlighting Rambo's growth in discipline, intelligence, and adaptability. The sequences serve both as engaging action visuals and as symbolic markers of transformation, showing how mastery is cultivated over time. Visual symbolism reinforces thematic continuity. Storms, raging rivers, and dense forests represent danger, moral conflict, and internal struggle, while sunlight, calm waters, and open skies symbolize insight, resolution, and personal growth. These motifs provide a layered visual narrative, allowing audiences to interpret psychological and thematic elements beyond the literal action on screen. The prequel highlights interpersonal dynamics as pivotal to Rambo's evolution. Friendships, rivalries, mentorship, and loss all influence his psychological development, moral reasoning, and tactical decision-making. These interactions demonstrate that character growth is relational as well as individual, emphasizing the role of human connection in shaping resilience and heroism. Editing rhythm alternates between rapid cuts in action sequences and slower, contemplative pacing during reflective moments. This deliberate contrast reinforces the narrative structure, allowing the audience to experience tension, anticipation, and insight in alignment with Rambo's journey. Pacing becomes a tool for emotional engagement, ensuring that both spectacle and introspection are effectively conveyed. The prequel incorporates strategic narrative foreshadowing. Early encounters, decisions, and tactical lessons are designed to hint at the skills, philosophy, and moral principles that define Rambo in later films. This structural layering creates continuity within the franchise, connecting formative experiences to the legendary capabilities audiences recognize, and enhancing narrative cohesion. Audience reception is a critical consideration in production and narrative design. By combining high-intensity action, emotional depth, ethical exploration, and historical grounding, the prequel appeals to multiple audience segments. Longtime franchise fans appreciate continuity and character depth, while new viewers are engaged through universal themes, visual spectacle, and immersive storytelling. The soundtrack is carefully composed to reinforce character development, narrative tension, and thematic resonance. Orchestral motifs underscore heroism, percussive elements heighten tension, and ambient textures mirror environmental challenges. Musical cues are aligned with emotional beats, ensuring that sound acts as a narrative partner rather than a mere accompaniment. Merchandising and transmedia integration extend the narrative beyond the screen. Collectible replicas, tactical gear, concept art, and interactive digital experiences allow fans to engage with Rambo's world in multiple dimensions. These initiatives reinforce emotional investment, expand franchise visibility, and cultivate long-term audience loyalty, ensuring that the prequel has cultural and commercial resonance. The prequel emphasizes the psychological interplay of fear, courage, and moral responsibility. By portraying Rambo confronting life-threatening situations, moral dilemmas, and physical obstacles, the narrative illustrates how courage is cultivated through experience, reflection, and strategic thinking. This focus on mental resilience complements physical heroism, providing a holistic view of character development. Production innovation includes the integration of practical effects, dynamic stunt work, and CGI enhancements. Explosive sequences, environmental hazards, and combat scenarios are choreographed to maximize realism while maintaining cinematic impact. This combination ensures that action remains grounded, visually spectacular, and narratively meaningful, supporting the story of Rambo's formative journey. The prequel culminates in a synthesis of psychological, ethical, and physical mastery. Rambo emerges as a competent, disciplined, and morally grounded warrior, bridging the formative experiences of youth with the legendary capabilities of later life. This resolution reinforces the narrative arc, honors the franchise's legacy, and establishes a foundation for potential sequels, expanded universe content, and continued exploration of the character's story. Sylvester Stallone's philosophy on storytelling is central to the prequel's narrative. He emphasizes the balance between visceral action and psychological depth, ensuring that physical heroism is always grounded in emotional and ethical complexity. Stallone's approach prioritizes character evolution over spectacle, resulting in sequences that are not only thrilling but also narratively meaningful, allowing audiences to connect with Rambo's journey on multiple levels. The cinematography of the prequel blends sweeping landscape shots with intimate close-ups to convey both scale and emotion. Drone shots over dense jungle canopies or flowing rivers emphasize the magnitude of environmental challenges, while close-ups capture Rambo's subtle facial expressions during moments of moral reflection or tactical decision-making. This dual approach creates a visually layered narrative that reflects both external and internal stakes. Lighting design is meticulously crafted to enhance mood and thematic resonance. High-contrast shadows are employed during suspenseful combat sequences, while soft, diffused lighting conveys moments of introspection and moral clarity. The interplay between natural light, firelight, and artificial illumination creates a cinematic language that guides audience interpretation and deepens emotional engagement with the story. Sound design integrates ambient environmental cues, diegetic action sounds, and thematic musical motifs. The rustling of leaves, flowing water, distant gunfire, and subtle animal noises interact with orchestral swells and percussive rhythms to enhance immersion. This layered soundscape not only heightens tension during action sequences but also underscores the psychological and moral undertones of Rambo's journey. Production insights reveal a deliberate focus on authenticity combined with cinematic flair. Locations are selected for both historical accuracy and visual impact, with set designs incorporating real-world textures, natural hazards, and tactical features. Practical effects, stunt coordination, and environmental challenges are choreographed to maximize realism, reinforcing the narrative's emphasis on resilience, ingenuity, and skill development. Character evolution is depicted with careful attention to psychological realism. Rambo is shown experiencing fear, doubt, moral conflict, and physical exhaustion, illustrating the formative experiences that shape his later legendary persona. By depicting vulnerability alongside emerging mastery, the film creates a multidimensional hero whose growth resonates emotionally with audiences. Audience impact is a key consideration in narrative and production design. By balancing intense action sequences with moments of introspection, ethical dilemma, and character interaction, the prequel ensures engagement across demographic segments. Longtime fans appreciate continuity and depth, while new audiences are drawn in by universal themes of courage, morality, and personal growth. Merchandising strategies are integrated with narrative and production elements. Replicas of Rambo's tactical gear, jungle survival tools, and iconic props allow fans to engage tangibly with the story world. Limited edition collectibles, VR experiences, and interactive storytelling apps extend audience interaction beyond the film, reinforcing franchise longevity and emotional investment. The prequel emphasizes the strategic development of heroism. Early sequences depict Rambo learning to anticipate threats, analyze terrain, and outthink adversaries. This intellectual aspect of heroism complements his physical capabilities, highlighting that legendary skill is a product of both mental acuity and experience under pressure. Ethical decision-making remains central to Rambo's journey. Throughout the prequel, he confronts life and death choices, loyalty conflicts, and moral ambiguity. These situations reinforce the narrative theme that true heroism involves not just action but reflection, responsibility, and integrity, creating a richer, more philosophically grounded portrayal of the character. Visual motifs recur to reinforce thematic cohesion. Flowing rivers symbolize transformation, dense jungle terrain represents obstacles and moral complexity, and sunlight breaking through foliage signifies clarity and insight. These motifs create a consistent symbolic language that supports character development and narrative progression. Training sequences are elevated into cinematic set pieces that emphasize both skill acquisition and psychological resilience. Tactical exercises, survival simulations, and combat practice are depicted with dynamic camera work, expressive lighting, and detailed environmental interaction. These sequences illustrate that mastery is cultivated through discipline, observation, and creative problem-solving. Audience anticipation is enhanced through careful narrative pacing. The prequel alternates between high-intensity action and reflective character moments, maintaining tension while allowing viewers to process ethical, emotional, and psychological developments. This rhythm reinforces engagement and ensures that the story resonates on multiple levels. Franchise legacy is reinforced by connecting formative experiences in the prequel to iconic traits established in earlier films. Tactical brilliance, moral decisiveness, physical resilience, and ethical principles are shown as products of early trials, mentorship, and personal reflection. This continuity honors the franchise's history while providing a fresh lens on the character's development. The soundtrack is thematically layered to reflect Rambo's growth. Recurring musical motifs accompany moments of training, ethical decision-making, and triumph, creating an auditory thread that guides the audience through narrative and emotional arcs. The score functions as a narrative voice, enhancing both tension and introspection throughout the film. Cinematography frequently juxtaposes vulnerability and strength. Scenes of isolation, injury, or moral uncertainty are contrasted with sequences of strategic mastery, tactical insight, or physical triumph. This visual interplay emphasizes the multidimensional nature of heroism, reinforcing that resilience involves both vulnerability and capability. Lighting and color palettes are carefully chosen to reflect psychological and thematic states. Muted greens and browns convey danger and moral complexity, while warm sunlight, clear skies, and reflective water symbolize insight, growth, and ethical resolution. This visual strategy deepens audience immersion and reinforces narrative symbolism. Production coordination involves integrating practical stunts with digital enhancements to create immersive, believable action. Combat sequences, environmental hazards, and survival challenges are choreographed for realism while maintaining cinematic spectacle. The approach ensures that action is narratively justified and emotionally resonant, rather than purely visual spectacle. Psychological depth is maintained throughout the prequel. Rambo's internal dialogue, reactions to ethical dilemmas, and moments of reflection are depicted alongside action sequences, ensuring that the audience understands the reasoning and emotional context behind every decision. This approach humanizes the hero, reinforcing emotional engagement. The prequel concludes by bridging origin and legend. Rambo emerges as a capable, disciplined, and morally grounded warrior, synthesizing lessons from early trials, mentorship, and environmental challenges. The resolution honors franchise continuity while expanding the narrative universe, setting the stage for potential sequels, further explorations, or expanded media adaptations. The story delves deeper into young Rambo's early psychological struggles, exploring the weight of responsibility and fear that comes with his first taste of combat. He is thrust into missions where hesitation could mean death, and every decision, no matter how small, carries moral and tactical consequences. The audience experiences the tension of seeing a raw recruit forced to reconcile instinct with discipline, forming the mental toughness that will define him later. In one intense sequence, Rambo must navigate a hostile, enemy-occupied village to rescue a trapped squad. The environment is treacherous, booby-trapped paths, hidden snipers, and civilians caught in crossfire. This sequence tests not just his tactical intelligence but also his ethical judgment, forcing him to make life-or-death decisions in real time. Cinematically, shadows, flickering torchlight, and narrow alleys heighten suspense, making the audience feel every heartbeat of danger. Rambo's relationships with his mentors are explored with nuance, showing both admiration and tension. The strictest trainers push him to his limits physically and mentally, while moments of guidance provide clarity and purpose. These dynamics establish the foundational principles that will govern his later actions: courage tempered by strategy, and aggression tempered by discipline. Audience investment grows as they witness the duality of respect and friction that defines hero-mentor relationships. The narrative introduces a complex antagonist network, rather than a single villain. Rival warlords, corrupt officers, and skilled mercenaries create a web of threats. Each adversary challenges Rambo in unique ways, forcing him to adapt his tactics and morality. This layered villain structure enhances tension, showing that survival requires more than brute strength. It demands cunning, observation, and strategic foresight. Rambo's first major victory is a hard-earned turning point. After a mission fraught with ambushes, missteps, and losses, he executes a daring plan that saves his squad. This triumph is bittersweet. The cost of success is evident in the casualties and trauma experienced. Cinematic techniques like slow-motion sequences, stark lighting, and close-ups emphasize the emotional weight of the moment, leaving the audience with a deep appreciation of heroism intertwined with sacrifice. The prequel also examines Rambo's internalized trauma. Nightmares, flashbacks, and moments of self-doubt punctuate his training and missions. These sequences humanize him, showing that his growing reputation is built on mental resilience as much as physical skill. The narrative emphasizes that even the most legendary warriors carry invisible scars, and the audience gains insight into the psychology behind survival instincts. A key narrative arc focuses on team cohesion under pressure. Rambo must earn the trust of his peers through actions rather than words. Missions force the squad to rely on his emerging tactical intelligence, and moments of camaraderie contrast sharply with the brutal realities of war. These interactions build tension, drama, and emotional investment, highlighting how leadership and respect are forged in the crucible of shared danger. Rambo's physical evolution is mirrored by his mental acuity. Training montages show him mastering hand-to-hand combat, camouflage, improvised weapons, and tracking. Each skill is reinforced with cinematic emphasis on precision, sweat, and determination. These sequences are choreographed to illustrate progression, showing the audience step by step how raw talent becomes lethal proficiency, preparing him for more complex battlefield scenarios. The narrative deepens with moral dilemmas during covert missions. Rambo faces situations where helping civilians could jeopardize his squad, or completing a mission could mean ignoring human suffering. These moments provide rich narrative tension, exploring the cost of strategic decisions and the weight of responsibility, further developing his ethical framework in preparation for the challenges of his adult life. The antagonist's presence is amplified through psychological warfare. They employ deception, traps, and misinformation, forcing Rambo to question his instincts and assumptions. These sequences highlight his growing ability to read situations, anticipate enemy moves, and maintain composure under extreme pressure. The cinematic execution uses quick cuts, POV shots, and suspenseful scoring to immerse the audience in the cat-and-mouse dynamics of intelligence and strategy. Rambo's first experience with deep personal loss cements his understanding of mortality and responsibility. A close comrade dies due to an unexpected ambush, leaving him racked with guilt and determination. The narrative emphasizes that heroism is inseparable from suffering, and these emotional beats are amplified through intimate cinematography, subtle sound design, and contemplative close-ups, letting the audience feel the weight of survival. In parallel, Rambo's relationship with civilians introduces the moral complexities of war. He witnesses oppression, coercion, and manipulation, challenging him to act in ways that honor humanity while ensuring tactical success. These interactions enrich the prequel, giving texture to the world he navigates and reinforcing that his heroism is as much about empathy and ethics as it is about combat prowess. The prequel showcases high-intensity guerrilla engagements, where Rambo must balance stealth with aggression. Each sequence demonstrates how terrain, weather, and timing become tools for survival. Cinematically, fast pans, low-angle shots, and dynamic framing create tension, allowing audiences to experience the strategic thinking and split-second decisions that elevate a young soldier into a legendary figure. Rambo's relationship with his weapons and survival tools is highlighted, showing intimate knowledge of firearms, traps, and improvised devices. These sequences reflect his growing ingenuity, emphasizing that a warrior's mind is as crucial as his strength. Every use of skill demonstrates adaptation, creativity, and decisiveness, reinforcing the narrative that true combat mastery is holistic. The prequel also explores emotional resilience through isolation. Rambo faces scenarios where he must survive alone, relying solely on instinct, memory, and training. These sequences are tense, immersive, and introspective, giving the audience insight into his psychological evolution. The isolation tests his limits, forming the backbone of his legendary self-reliance seen in later films. Teen betrayals introduce narrative tension and moral complexity. Allies making critical mistakes or acting selfishly challenge Rambo to adapt strategy and maintain leadership under duress. These conflicts reinforce the notion that heroism requires both tactical skill and ethical fortitude, providing rich material for character development and audience engagement. The antagonist's escalating schemes force Rambo into more daring missions. Multi-layered traps, double agents, and high-risk ambushes test his tactical mastery and creativity. These sequences are cinematic spectacles, blending suspense, action, and moral stakes, demonstrating that victory is always hard-won and deeply consequential. Rambo's personal reflections during quiet moments provide narrative depth. Alone by a campfire or navigating a rain-soaked forest, he contemplates loss, fear, and purpose. These sequences juxtapose the chaos of battle with internal clarity, humanizing him and allowing the audience to connect with his psychological journey on a profound level. The prequel expands on strategic warfare, depicting how Rambo applies intelligence, observation, and anticipation to outmaneuver superior forces. Each tactical decision reinforces his growth, showing that the making of a legendary warrior is as much about mind as muscle. Cinematic techniques, long tracking shots, tension-building music, and tight framing, immerse audiences in his calculated maneuvers. Finally, the narrative threads converge toward Rambo's first defining legacy mission, where he must integrate all his skills, courage, and moral judgment to achieve a near-impossible objective. This sequence combines epic action, emotional stakes, and psychological depth, culminating in a transformative moment that cements him as the iconic figure audiences will recognize in the subsequent films. The prequel reinforces the Rambo franchise's influence on the action genre by integrating realistic survival tactics, ethical complexity, and character-driven storytelling. Unlike conventional action films that prioritize spectacle, Rambo 6 balances adrenaline-pumping sequences with introspective moments that examine moral dilemmas, loyalty, and the human cost of conflict. This approach not only honors the franchise's legacy but also demonstrates its continued relevance in modern cinematic storytelling. Marketing strategies for the prequel leverage both nostalgia and innovation. Trailers, teasers, and posters highlight iconic traits of Rambo, while simultaneously introducing new aspects of his origin story. Social media campaigns emphasize immersive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and interactive experiences, appealing to both longtime fans and younger viewers unfamiliar with the franchise. This dual approach ensures maximum engagement and global anticipation. The global audience impact of the prequel is significant, as Rambo's themes of resilience, courage, and morality are universally relatable. Viewers from diverse cultural backgrounds can connect with the struggles of survival, ethical choices, and personal growth depicted throughout the narrative. This broad resonance underscores the franchise's enduring appeal and its ability to transcend generational and geographic boundaries. Merchandising plays a critical role in extending audience engagement. Collectible replicas of Rambo's tactical gear, survival tools, and iconic props allow fans to interact physically with the story world. Limited edition art books, digital experiences, and interactive VR content deepen immersion, creating a franchise ecosystem that goes beyond the cinematic experience, enhancing both emotional investment and commercial success. Cinematography in the prequel is deliberately expressive, using lighting, framing, and movement to reflect narrative and emotional beats. Wide shots capture the vastness and danger of the environment, emphasizing Rambo's vulnerability and the scale of his challenges. In contrast, close-ups capture nuanced facial expressions, moral deliberation, and moments of introspection, providing insight into the protagonist's psychological state. Stallone's creative vision ensures that the prequel maintains thematic consistency with previous films while introducing innovative narrative and cinematic techniques. His guidance on character development, dialogue, and action choreography guarantees that the story remains grounded in Rambo's established ethos of resilience, morality, and tactical brilliance, while also exploring previously untold facets of his origin. The prequel's production design meticulously blends historical authenticity with cinematic artistry. Jungle landscapes, river crossings, mountainous terrain, and war-torn settlements are crafted to immerse audiences fully in the environment. Each location functions narratively, symbolizing internal struggle, danger, and personal growth, transforming physical settings into visual storytelling tools. Soundtrack composition enhances narrative depth and emotional engagement. Orchestral arrangements underscore heroic moments, while percussive rhythms heighten tension during combat. Ambient environmental sounds, such as flowing water, rustling foliage, and distant wildlife, interact with musical themes to create an immersive auditory experience that mirrors Rambo's psychological and physical journey. The narrative emphasizes the interplay between isolation and relational influence. Rambo's formative experiences include moments of solitude, where he confronts fear, doubt, and moral complexity, balanced by mentorship, alliances, and interpersonal conflict. This interplay illustrates that heroism is cultivated through both internal reflection and external guidance, enriching the character's dimensionality. Visual symbolism permeates the film, reinforcing thematic resonance. Rivers signify transformation, jungles represent obstacles and ethical ambiguity, and sunlight breaking through foliage signals insight and resolution. These motifs create a visual language that complements the narrative, allowing audiences to interpret both literal and metaphorical dimensions of Rambo's journey. Training and preparation sequences are elevated into narrative landmarks, depicting both physical skill acquisition and mental resilience. Tactical drills, survival exercises, and combat simulations are shown with dynamic camera angles, expressive lighting, and environmental integration. These sequences reinforce the idea that mastery is earned through discipline, ingenuity, and perseverance, rather than innate talent alone. The prequel explores the psychological evolution of fear and courage. By depicting Rambo confronting life-threatening scenarios, moral conflicts, and environmental hazards, the film illustrates how courage develops through experience, reflection, and strategic thinking. This nuanced portrayal emphasizes mental resilience alongside physical prowess, enhancing audience empathy and engagement. Franchise continuity is maintained through careful foreshadowing of iconic traits. Early tactical brilliance, moral decisiveness, and survival ingenuity are highlighted to explain the origins of Rambo's legendary abilities. This structural approach creates a seamless connection between the prequel and previous films, reinforcing narrative cohesion and audience satisfaction. Audience engagement is strategically enhanced through pacing that balances action, reflection, and ethical deliberation. High-intensity sequences are interspersed with quieter, introspective moments, allowing viewers to process character development, moral complexity, and relational dynamics. This rhythm ensures sustained emotional investment and narrative immersion throughout the film. Merchandising and transmedia strategies integrate seamlessly with narrative and production design. Action figures, VR experiences, and digital story content expand audience interaction beyond the cinema, enabling fans to explore Rambo's world actively. This approach strengthens franchise longevity, fosters loyalty, and provides multiple avenues for commercial and cultural engagement. Ethical dilemmas are a continuous narrative focus, emphasizing Rambo's decision-making process. Choices about survival, loyalty, and intervention highlight the tension between self-preservation and moral responsibility. These moments underscore the philosophical dimension of heroism, demonstrating that character development is inseparable from ethical growth. Lighting and color palettes are carefully designed to reflect emotional tone and thematic significance. Muted tones, shadows, and stormy skies convey danger and uncertainty, while warm light and open spaces symbolize insight, resolution, and personal growth. This visual strategy reinforces narrative meaning and supports audience interpretation of character evolution. The prequel's action sequences are grounded in realism, blending practical stunts with subtle digital enhancement. Ambushes, survival challenges, and tactical maneuvers are choreographed to showcase Rambo's intellect, adaptability, and ethical choices, ensuring that spectacle serves narrative and thematic purposes rather than mere visual entertainment. The soundtrack functions as an integral narrative device, reinforcing character arcs, tension, and resolution. Musical motifs align with Rambo's growth, moments of heroism, and ethical deliberation, creating an auditory continuity that guides audience perception and emotional engagement, making the score an active component of storytelling. The film culminates in Rambo's synthesis of tactical mastery, moral clarity, and psychological resilience. By resolving narrative arcs that explore mentorship, ethical growth, environmental adaptation, and combat proficiency, the prequel solidifies Rambo's emergence as a fully realized hero. This resolution honors the franchise's legacy while setting the stage for future exploration of the character's ongoing journey. The narrative arc reaches its climax as Rambo confronts the culmination of his trials, both physical and ethical. Faced with overwhelming odds, he must apply all the skills, strategies, and moral lessons learned throughout his journey. The cinematic framing of this climax emphasizes scale and intensity, with wide shots capturing environmental hazards, rapid camera movements heightening tension, and careful lighting focusing attention on Rambo as the central force within the chaos. Stallone's guidance ensures that the prequel's climax resonates both emotionally and narratively. The action sequences are choreographed not only to showcase physical prowess but also to reflect the culmination of strategic thinking, ethical decision-making, and personal growth. Every movement, choice, and consequence underscores the lessons learned across the film, cementing Rambo's evolution from novice to legendary warrior. The resolution of the prequel highlights the integration of psychological, ethical, and tactical mastery. Rambo's ability to navigate moral dilemmas, lead strategically, and endure extreme environments demonstrates the synthesis of his formative experiences. This layered resolution satisfies both narrative expectations and emotional investment, providing closure while honoring the character's future potential. Cinematography in the finale employs dynamic perspectives to reflect both heroism and vulnerability. Aerial shots reveal the scope of the environment and the challenges Rambo faces, while intimate close-ups capture his determination, reflection, and moral reasoning. This visual duality reinforces the narrative theme that true heroism balances external action with internal growth. Lighting design enhances the emotional resonance of the climax. The interplay of shadows and sunlight, natural firelight, and environmental illumination symbolizes Rambo's journey through darkness into clarity. Scenes transition from tense, shadowed sequences to moments of insight and resolution, visually narrating the hero's development alongside the story's events. The soundtrack intensifies the narrative impact of the climax. Orchestral crescendos accompany moments of action, while softer motifs underscore ethical decisions and personal reflection. The music functions as an emotional guide, reinforcing tension, triumph, and moral resolution, and creating an auditory cohesion that parallels the film's visual and narrative arc. Production design contributes to the narrative closure by emphasizing environmental symbolism. Rivers crossed, mountains scaled, and jungles navigated throughout the film reappear as milestones within the climax, representing the hero's internal and external growth. These tangible markers of struggle and achievement enhance both narrative satisfaction and thematic continuity. Ethical dilemmas are resolved in a manner consistent with Rambo's formative experiences. Decisions made under duress, interactions with allies and adversaries, and moral choices converge in the finale, demonstrating how experience, reflection, and strategic insight culminate in principled action. This resolution solidifies the philosophical dimension of the narrative, reinforcing the franchise's legacy of moral complexity. Audience reception is anticipated to be profound, given the prequel's balance of action, character depth, and ethical exploration. Longtime fans are rewarded with continuity, familiar thematic motifs, and respectful character development, while new audiences are introduced to universally relatable struggles of courage, morality, and resilience. This dual appeal ensures both commercial success and cultural resonance. Franchise legacy is reinforced by the prequel's careful integration of origin story and established mythos. Traits that define Rambo, tactical brilliance, physical endurance, ethical decisiveness, and moral courage, are shown as earned through formative trials. This structural continuity strengthens the cohesion of the Rambo universe, allowing the character's evolution to feel both organic and inevitable. Merchandising and transmedia storytelling extend the film's impact beyond the cinema. Interactive VR experiences, tactical gear replicas, concept art, and digital collectibles allow audiences to engage with the narrative world actively. These extensions deepen fan investment, support franchise longevity, and create a multifaceted cultural presence that complements the cinematic experience. Stallone's creative philosophy emphasizes that action is most compelling when intertwined with psychological and moral depth. The prequel exemplifies this by integrating high-stakes physical sequences with nuanced exploration of Rambo's ethical reasoning, emotional resilience, and relational dynamics. This approach elevates the film beyond conventional action storytelling into a narrative that resonates across cognitive and emotional dimensions. The film explores the interplay of isolation and interdependence. Rambo's trials in the jungle, during combat, and under environmental pressures highlight his self-reliance, while relationships with mentors, allies, and civilians illustrate the formative power of connection and guidance. This balance underscores that even legendary heroes are shaped through both internal struggle and external influence. Visual motifs recur throughout the prequel to reinforce narrative coherence. Flowing rivers, dense forests, and towering cliffs symbolize transformation, adversity, and personal growth. Light-piercing foliage or stormy skies breaking into clarity represents insight and ethical resolution. These motifs create a layered visual grammar that mirrors character evolution and thematic resonance. Training sequences are recontextualized within the climax, emphasizing the payoff of preparation, discipline, and learning. Tactical exercises, survival simulations, and combat practice manifest in high-stakes situations, showing that Rambo's mastery is not innate but cultivated through sustained effort. This narrative choice reinforces the thematic focus on growth and perseverance. Audience anticipation and engagement are amplified by narrative pacing that contrasts rapid, intense sequences with slower reflective moments. This structure ensures emotional investment, cognitive absorption of ethical and strategic choices, and sustained tension, creating a cinematic rhythm that maximizes immersion and satisfaction. Sound and score are used narratively to differentiate between internal conflict and external action. Subtle musical motifs highlight introspective or moral moments, while dynamic orchestral sequences underscore combat, pursuit, and environmental danger. The interplay of these elements ensures that sound enhances both storytelling and emotional resonance. The prequel emphasizes the development of strategic thinking as a core heroic trait. Rambo's ability to analyze terrain, anticipate threats, and devise creative solutions demonstrates that intelligence and planning are as critical to heroism as strength and courage. This narrative focus provides depth, distinguishing Rambo from archetypal action heroes. Ethical growth is portrayed as cumulative, with early decisions influencing later choices in the climax. The narrative consistently shows that experience, reflection, and moral reasoning culminate in principled action, reinforcing the philosophical dimension of the story. This continuity ensures that Rambo's legendary reputation is rooted in formative moral development as well as skill. The film's conclusion provides thematic and narrative closure. Rambo emerges as a multidimensional hero, physically capable, morally grounded, and psychologically resilient. By resolving character arcs, environmental challenges, and ethical dilemmas, the prequel bridges origin story with franchise legend, setting a foundation for sequels, expanded media, and continued exploration of his story. Cinematic legacy is reinforced as the prequel demonstrates how action, character, and moral complexity can coexist. By combining Stallone's vision, sophisticated production, thematic depth, and immersive storytelling, Rambo 6 exemplifies a mature, modern approach to action cinema, offering both spectacle and substance while honoring the enduring franchise mythos. Rambo's journey intensifies as he is tasked with a high-stakes reconnaissance mission, navigating enemy lines with nothing but his instincts, survival skills, and limited supplies. The cinematic depiction emphasizes tension through low-angle shots, shadowed paths, and distant enemy patrols. Every step tests his patience and adaptability, showing audiences how experience and tactical foresight begin to shape him into a strategic warrior. During this mission, he discovers the psychological impact of warfare on civilians, witnessing fear, manipulation, and coercion. These encounters challenge Rambo's moral compass, forcing him to make decisions where ethical choices and tactical necessity conflict. The narrative portrays his empathy alongside his tactical growth, reinforcing that heroism in his world requires more than strength, it demands judgment and humanity. Rambo's first prolonged solo survival ordeal marks a pivotal turning point in his evolution. Lost behind enemy lines, he must improvise shelter, find food, evade patrols, and remain undetected for days. The prequel uses wide shots of dense forests, harsh terrain, and unforgiving weather to immerse audiences in his struggle, highlighting his ingenuity, resilience, and the mental toughness that will define his legendary status. Through intense training montages, Rambo develops mastery over hand-to-hand combat, weapon improvisation, and tactical tracking. Each skill is presented with cinematic clarity, slow-motion sequences, close-ups of precise movements, and dynamic framing emphasize growth and discipline. The audience witnesses a raw recruit gradually transform into a calculated, lethal, and adaptive fighter capable of handling extreme pressure. Rambo's interpersonal relationships are tested when conflicting personalities within his squad spark tension. A mix of mistrust, competition, and loyalty challenges him to assert leadership while maintaining cohesion. The narrative explores how trust is earned under fire, and audiences observe the interplay of camaraderie, responsibility, and personal conflict shaping his development. A layered antagonist network escalates the narrative stakes, as enemy leaders employ psychological warfare, misinformation, and deception. Rambo must anticipate their moves, interpret conflicting intelligence, and make rapid strategic decisions. Cinematic techniques, including point-of-view shots, rapid cuts, and suspenseful music, heighten tension, drawing audiences into the mental chess game unfolding on screen. Rambo experiences the first profound loss of a close comrade, an event that leaves a lasting imprint on his psyche. Cinematic techniques, slow motion, muted colors, and tight focus on facial expressions, convey grief and survivor's guilt. This moment reinforces the emotional weight of heroism and survival, showing audiences that victories are inseparable from human cost. The prequel delves into covert infiltration missions, emphasizing stealth, strategy, and patience over brute force. Rambo's ability to blend into environments, anticipate enemy behavior, and improvise solutions solidifies his transformation into a tactical expert. Audiences gain insight into his analytical mindset, appreciating how preparation and observation are as critical as combat skill. In quieter moments, Rambo engages in introspective reflection, contemplating mortality, duty, and the consequences of his actions. Scenes set in isolated forests or campfires highlight his internal dialogue, allowing audiences to connect emotionally with the burdens and complexity of his journey. This adds narrative depth and humanizes a figure otherwise defined by action and survival. The narrative emphasizes moral dilemmas during rescue operations, where choices between civilian safety, mission success, and squad survival create tension. Rambo's ethical reasoning is tested repeatedly, reinforcing his growth as a principled warrior capable of balancing strategic necessity with moral accountability. Rambo's evolution is also reflected in his innovative use of terrain and environment. Ambushes, traps, and escape routes demonstrate his strategic understanding of nature as an ally. Wide shots of mountainous landscapes, dense forests, and river crossings show the interplay between environment and skill, immersing audiences in a tactical challenge and cinematic spectacle. The prequel highlights psychological resilience under prolonged pressure, as Rambo faces isolation, enemy pursuit, and high-risk missions. Cinematic tension is built through close-ups, handheld camera movement, and ambient soundscapes, immersing audiences in the anxiety and anticipation he experiences. These sequences show that mental toughness is as vital as physical strength. Rambo navigates complex ethical conflicts, such as deciding whether to save civilians at the cost of a mission. These situations deepen the narrative, illustrating that heroism involves calculated risk, personal sacrifice, and moral courage. Audiences see a warrior growing in judgment, strategy, and empathy, enhancing the prequel's emotional and intellectual engagement. The antagonist's strategic counterattacks test Rambo's ability to think multiple moves ahead. Deception, ambushes, and false intelligence force him to adapt, demonstrating both his growing tactical acumen and capacity for psychological endurance. Cinematic tension peaks as audiences follow his split-second choices, balancing suspense with narrative development. During team betrayal scenarios, Rambo confronts fractured loyalties and conflicting motives. These interpersonal challenges push him to assert leadership and moral authority under pressure. The narrative emphasizes that a hero's effectiveness is not only measured by skill but by judgment, integrity, and the ability to inspire trust amidst chaos. Rambo's innovative combat strategies integrate prior training with battlefield improvisation. He combines camouflage, silent movement, traps, and weapon proficiency to neutralize enemies with precision. Cinematic sequences highlight this mastery through dynamic tracking shots, tight framing, and suspenseful pacing, creating thrilling, logically grounded action that underscores skill evolution. The narrative introduces long-term strategic planning, where Rambo anticipates enemy movements over days and weeks. His ability to interpret terrain, predict behavior, and manipulate circumstances demonstrates the intellectual depth behind his legendary persona. The cinematic storytelling balances action with tension, showing mental strategy as integral to combat success. Rambo's encounters with morally ambiguous figures emphasize the shades of gray in wartime ethics. Collaborators, double agents, and coerced civilians challenge him to make difficult decisions, reinforcing the prequel's thematic exploration of morality under duress. These interactions deepen both the character and the narrative universe. Rambo experiences survival under extreme environmental conditions, from monsoon-soaked forests to freezing mountains. The prequel emphasizes the grueling physical and mental demands of these situations, using expansive wide shots, environmental sound design, and immersive cinematography. Audiences witness a warrior's resilience forged in adversity. The narrative builds toward a defining mission, combining all of Rambo's tactical, ethical, and survival skills. The sequence is epic in scale, blending suspense, action, and psychological intensity. Cinematic elements, long tracking shots, dynamic camera movement, and tension-driven scoring, highlight both external threats and internal resolution, culminating in a transformative moment that solidifies his legendary status. Finally, the prequel underscores resilience, identity, and legacy, showing Rambo integrating skills, ethics, and emotional experience into the hero audiences know. The culmination reinforces the themes of sacrifice, courage, and tactical brilliance, bridging seamlessly into the original films while providing a deep, immersive, and emotionally resonant origin story. Rambo's journey reaches a new level as he faces his first large-scale ambush, where enemy forces vastly outnumber his unit. The prequel emphasizes the chaos of battle through wide shots, rapid cuts, and close-ups of tense expressions. Rambo's strategic thinking and quick improvisation turn near-certain defeat into a hard-fought victory, showcasing his evolution from a raw recruit to a capable and cunning warrior. During the ambush, Rambo must rely on stealth, intuition, and guerrilla tactics, blending into forests and utilizing environmental advantages. Every movement is calculated, every decision carries risk. The cinematic depiction includes shadowed foliage, sound of distant gunfire, and tense, atmospheric scoring, immersing the audience in the unpredictability and intensity of combat. The narrative expands on Rambo's internal struggles with mortality and responsibility, highlighting the emotional weight of leading and protecting others under fire. Moments of quiet reflection, brief pauses between firefights, and flashbacks to fallen comrades deepen his psychological development. These sequences create a contrast between the chaos of combat and the introspective burden of survival. Rambo's first encounter with a morally ambiguous civilian ally adds narrative tension. The character offers assistance but with questionable motives, forcing Rambo to navigate trust, loyalty, and ethical judgment. The prequel explores the complexity of alliances in wartime, demonstrating that heroism is not just about skill but also discernment and moral clarity. The antagonist's strategic escalation introduces new threats, including mercenaries and corrupt officials, challenging Rambo to think beyond immediate survival. Deception, traps, and false intelligence test his tactical ingenuity. Cinematically, these sequences use point-of-view shots, tracking camera work, and suspenseful music to heighten audience immersion in the intellectual duel between hero and adversaries. Rambo's emotional resilience is tested as he faces extended isolation during a reconnaissance mission. Cut off from support, he must survive alone while anticipating enemy maneuvers. The prequel uses expansive landscapes, harsh weather, and close-ups of struggle to emphasize the dual challenges of physical endurance and mental fortitude. Training montages illustrate Rambo's growth in precision, patience, and improvisation, showing him mastering complex combat scenarios. Audiences see his development from reactive actions to calculated strategy. Cinematic techniques like slow motion, detailed close-ups, and dynamic movement reinforce the narrative of skill acquisition and mental evolution. The prequel explores team betrayal and fractured alliances, where comrades act out of fear or self-interest. Rambo must navigate these conflicts while maintaining cohesion and leadership, emphasizing the interplay between moral judgment and strategic necessity. These moments heighten narrative tension and character depth. Rambo's first encounter with extreme environmental hazards, flash floods, jagged cliffs, and treacherous swamps, tests his adaptability. The cinematic depiction uses sweeping aerial shots, immersive sound design, and tactile visuals to make audiences feel the peril, reinforcing that a warrior's skill extends beyond combat to survival mastery. The prequel highlights psychological warfare deployed by the antagonist, including misinformation, staged ambushes, and deceptive tactics designed to undermine morale. Rambo's ability to anticipate and counter these strategies emphasizes his growing tactical brilliance, while cinematography builds suspense through rapid cuts, obscured enemy movements, and immersive point-of-view sequences. Rambo's first moral crisis under fire occurs when he must choose between completing a mission or saving civilians. This pivotal moment tests his ethics and strategic thinking, deepening the narrative and highlighting the balance between duty and humanity. Cinematic emphasis on his facial expressions and environmental tension enhances emotional engagement. Rambo's ingenuity with improvised weapons and traps becomes a recurring theme. Using natural materials and tactical foresight, he turns the environment into a defensive advantage. Sequences depicting these strategies combine suspense, cinematic framing, and narrative logic, showing audiences the intellectual depth behind physical action. The prequel examines the psychological burden of leadership, where Rambo must make rapid, high-stakes decisions affecting lives. Each choice reinforces his development as a morally and tactically adept warrior. Cinematic devices, tracking shots, reaction close-ups, and dynamic sound, immerse audiences in the tension and responsibility he bears. Rambo faces escalating enemy schemes, including coordinated ambushes, deception, and pursuit by skilled mercenaries. These sequences highlight his tactical adaptability and the necessity of combining patience, strategy, and physical skill. Cinematic techniques emphasize suspense, danger, and the mental chess game of survival. Personal reflection sequences explore Rambo's inner conflict and emotional growth, as he processes trauma, loss, and the moral complexity of his actions. Solitary moments by rivers, in forests, or during rain-soaked nights provide narrative depth and humanize the emerging hero, adding emotional resonance between high-stakes action sequences. The narrative showcases extended, large-scale guerrilla engagements, where Rambo uses terrain, weather, and strategy to overcome superior numbers. Each battle sequence combines cinematic spectacle with logical, tactical progression, ensuring that action is both thrilling and narratively meaningful. Audiences witness a hero whose victories are earned through intelligence, courage, and preparation. Rambo's encounters with morally ambiguous allies and enemies challenge his judgment and reinforce his ethical framework. These interactions deepen the narrative, demonstrating that leadership, morality, and skill are intertwined in the making of a legendary warrior. Cinematic depiction emphasizes tension, nuance, and subtle character cues. The prequel includes psychological endurance tests, where Rambo must withstand extreme isolation, hunger, and continuous threat. These sequences highlight mental fortitude and survival skill, with cinematic elements emphasizing suspense, environmental danger, and character introspection. Audiences experience the full intensity of his transformation. A pivotal sequence shows Rambo orchestrating a daring, complex rescue mission, combining strategy, stealth, and improvisation. Cinematically, rapid cuts, dynamic camera movement, and intense sound design immerse the audience in the stakes of the mission while highlighting his tactical mastery and emotional investment in saving lives. The prequel culminates in a defining moment of transformation, where Rambo integrates all skills, tactical knowledge, and moral insight into a coherent, capable, and iconic persona. This sequence bridges seamlessly into the established Rambo mythology, cementing the prequel's narrative as both an origin story and a cinematic exploration of resilience, strategy, and humanity under extreme duress.